Hi there, welcome back to GrayBush Knits. My name is Hannah and this is a channel all about my love of knitting, but will sometimes include some of my other hobbies like gardening or, as of recently, crochet. Today's video is going to be another podcast sharing what I've been up to this past week and kind of going into some of the projects that I've been working on. So if that sounds like something that you might be interested in, please stick around and consider subscribing if you haven't already. I am really excited. This last week we just hit 100 subscribers and my husband actually made me a celebratory, it's like a chocolate pie. That's kind of one of our favorite treats in the summertime especially. And so I was really excited for that. So I just want to say thank you so much for being here. And without further ado, we'll get right into the video. So last week I had showed you I had started a project that was my first crochet project that I have done in quite some time, and I am so excited. It was the Winnie Dragon, and this is a pattern by Red Mills Crochet. You can find it on Etsy, and I was really excited about this dragon. It's using a really large yarn, and I thought this was going to be super easy. And she says that it takes about 5 hours to finish this project from start to finish. So I was really excited to kind of give it a go and see how that went. And I will just show you what my dragon turned out looking like. Isn't he so cool? He's got a very long tail. And I gave him a very sweet face here. And then I'll just go ahead and flip him over so that you can see the wings and his spine. I am absolutely in love with how he turned out. We definitely aren't calling him Winnie because this is for one of my nephews, and it's definitely going to be a boy dragon. However, I'm trying to decide whether I'm going to name the dragon before I give it to him or give that opportunity to my nephew. But I keep calling him Blaze. I think that's really fun, kind of play off of a kind of fire dragon name. So that's what I've been calling him. Overall, I really didn't make too many modifications on the original pattern to make him. I'm sure that there were modifications on the horns because it was kind of difficult using such a large yarn, and the fact that it is kind of a chenille texture. It's really difficult to see your stitches no matter what size needle you're using, crochet hook, whatever. And so it definitely was difficult at times. Same thing with the very end of his tail. The end of his tail, I felt like when I was first starting, I felt like I didn't have enough stitches around. So I will definitely pay more attention to that next time I make this pattern, but overall I wasn't too worried about it. I did kind of follow most of the instructions all the way up. I made his legs and his feet, I believe as they were to pattern, they might have been like a row or two longer because I was trying to make him a little bit more substantial. The head was exact, the ears were as close as I could get to exact, but those were also kind of tricky. I don't really love the way that they hold their shape. I wish that they were just a little bit larger, and I could have I think what I'm going to do is, what I ended up doing was running like a stitch through here to try to hold the shape because I didn't like how they were setting. So anyway, I did do those modifications, and then the wings, so you can see how, I can't really make him all the way spread, but you can see here where the gray is at, that's how big the wings were supposed to be. And I just felt like they weren't large enough considering the scale of him overall. And these are still pretty small. I mean, obviously for a baby dragon, that's okay, but if he were to be a full-size dragon, then he would need much larger wings. But I went ahead and I added on this black, and then I added, in the process, it was like one more, the way I imagined it's kind of like on a pterodactyl, where they have like their primary arm with a hand, and then the wings come off of it. That's kind of my idea when I was creating this. I'll show you on this side because it's a little bit easier, but I'm really happy with how that turned out. And then the pattern did suggest to just run from like the top of their head all the way down their spine, to run a single crochet, and then you can add in like doubles here and there to kind of create some like highs and lows. I did do that, and I felt like it was too short even with that, so then I went through it again and I made it even longer, and I did that after I added his tail. I shouldn't say added his tail, added the pieces on his tail. Let's see how I can figure out how to show you this. So on the end of his tail, you add these pieces, right? And all three of these pieces pretty much look like this, but what I did when I added in that second row along his spine is I actually ran it down this center tail piece so that you can still see the bits of gray in there, but they just don't stand out as much. And I feel like it really gave it a good amount of substance. It felt like it was actually part of his tail, whereas before it felt much more separate and like it wasn't as cohesive with the rest of the dragon. So I did make those modifications there, but overall I'm really happy with him. I do plan on making another one for my other nephew. Can't make one for one brother and not for the other, so that is going to be on the list for this week, I think, since I have the yarn in hand. Kind of on those notes, I'm just going to set him on my lap here. That dragon, come on, sit still. There we go. That dragon is going to be made in this sage green. This is Bernat blanket yarn, and it is in the color smoky green. And I'm going to be doing, I believe, all the bits that are gray on this dragon in this color, which again, this is Bernat, but this is baby blanket, so it's slightly smaller. And this is in the color baby sand. This is like a really nice, just kind of taupe color, and I believe that's going to be all of the gray hearts on this dragon. And then the final yarn that I have is this multicolor. This is again Bernat blanket. This is in the color forest sage, and this is very variegated, and it's not like it fades from one color to the next. You can see here it goes straight from this green into this kind of teal, light blue color. So this I think I'm going to use in all of the black portions of him. I think it'd be kind of interesting to watch that color change, but we'll kind of see once I get into it. I do have other options that I could use. I still have some black, obviously, but I also have dark green and some other tan colors. So I'll kind of see what looks the best as I'm going and kind of proceed from there, just depending on how I'm liking the overall feel of it. We're just trying to find that happy medium. So I'm going to go ahead and set this one aside and move on to my works in progress. So as far as my projects that I've had going that we've talked about for the last few weeks. So I have my Zimtstern shawl that I haven't touched this week. Like I said, I'm trying to work on some of these other summer type projects that are more mindless, and so that kind of got set aside. The Korshavn Cardigan, I pulled that sweater out and was working on it this last week. I got like 4 rows into it and I was not feeling it. And I know I've been struggling with this cardigan essentially since I got into the basket weave pattern, and I finally decided I hated the holes. I couldn't do it anymore, no matter what I've done, what I've tried to talk myself into. I did not like this pattern, and it's not something that, even though I've done so many rows so far, it wasn't getting to be intuitive. It was not getting to be any easier to follow through. My husband would try to talk to me in the evenings while I'm knitting, and it would just throw me off and I couldn't focus, and I don't like to be that stressed out while I'm knitting. So I ripped the entire thing out. I then started a different cardigan with that yarn. That was the Auguste Cardigan by Joanna Gersh, and I'll try to include a picture up here. I thought this cardigan was absolutely gorgeous. I was desperate, frantic, bought it because it was beautiful and it was going to use the same DK weight, and I immediately cast it on. I got into, so the way that this pattern works is you work from the center of the neck on the collar. You're going to start with the button band essentially. You start that, you get so far, and then you put that yarn on hold, you pick back up at the center and you work the opposite direction. And then once you get there, then you're going to come back and you're going to pick up and you're going to work back and forth, and then you're essentially just going to kind of work across the whole thing. And I got to the point to where I was working across the whole thing. I was supposed to start doing some of the cables, and I started to go through, and the pattern was so confusing. I had to get help from a friend who has had a knitting shop, and even she was struggling to get through and understand the pattern because there are diagrams, but the diagrams don't have all of the increases and all of the other things you're going to need to do. It's just essentially, here's your back panel, and you're going to knit all these rows and you're going to purl these, and then here's where your cables are going to be. And that was it. There was nothing noted about the increases. So when I got to, I think everything was clear on row like 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 13. Like it was all these random numbers, and there were really kind of scattered bits of information between like 4 different pages. Nothing was condensed. Nothing was row 1, this is what you're going to do. Row 2, this is what you're going to do. Row 3, you're going to do the same as row 2. Whatever. Like, I don't care what the pattern is, but you're going to have to hold my hand here in the beginning and make sure that I've kind of got it down, and then eventually you can say, okay, now you're going to repeat this general idea moving forward. Fine. But you can't let go of my hand at row 3. You just can't. Not when there's so much going on and adding cables, and you're not picking up cables across the whole thing. You're only supposed to start the cable in the middle. Let me tell you what, I have given up already. I am not interested in doing that pattern right now. I was so mad. I spent hours trying to figure out that pattern, hours with my friend trying to figure out that pattern, and finally decided that I was just going to wait. I'm going to try a different yarn and something that is not the mohair with the wool. I was going to try something different, and I'm just going to wait. I have still been contemplating on doing the Korshavn Cardigan without the holes. Make that general basket weave pattern but without the holes and see if I like that. I may try to swatch that and see if I like it any better and kind of go from there. I am really frustrated because I would love to have a lightweight cardigan right now, but I would much rather put the effort into a garment that I'm going to enjoy the process of and enjoy the finished product of just as much. So the fact that I've decided to put both of those on the back burner right now is just fine with me. With that being said, I have been toying with the idea of a more basic cardigan, which ironically is part of the reason why I was going to these, is because I was tired of just a basic knit purl kind of thing, and I was trying to get into some of these different textures, lacework, cables, something like that. But I think it's because right now I've been doing so much between work and sourdough and trying to get the garden started. I need something easy for knitting. So I think I'm just, I think I'm just going to maybe proceed with one of those more basic cardigans for right now. And it's still something that I want to have in my wardrobe. It just isn't necessarily what I'm craving to knit at this exact moment. So we'll kind of see. I have some yarn already on hand for those projects, so I may end up working on that this week, but we'll just kind of have to wait and see. The other item that I started this week was actually the Tolsta Tee, which we had talked about in my last video. This is something that was on my 15 knits that I want to make in 2024 video, which I'll try to link maybe up here as well as down in the description. This was a pattern by Rebecca Clow. I absolutely adore this t-shirt, and she had worn it in one of her podcast videos. It was done in a navy blue, and she used a blue kind of glitter yarn, like thread throughout. And it really was just so stunning and simple, but, you know, just kind of a nice piece that you can easily dress up or down. So I decided I wanted to make my own and had purchased the yarn a while back. So here is where my Tolsta Tee is so far. You can see I'm working on the neck, and I think I'm about halfway through before I need to split. No, I just counted. What was I at? Like, yeah, between half and 2/3 of the way through before I need to go ahead and split for sleeves. I am currently knitting this in, what is this? Peaches and Cream cotton, which is something that I can find really easily at our Walmart store that we have here in town. It's in the natural, I think it's called Ecru color. It's one of those words that I just can't seem to pronounce right. ECRU. So that is what this is here. And then I also have it paired, like I said, with a glitter thread. And that glitter thread is the Kremka Soul Wool Stellaris. And the color is 183. It's kind of a cream with the gold glitter on it. Let me see if I can get you a close-up here. There we go. And then the fabric that I have going on so far, I'll also get you a close-up of. So far, I've been using the gold glitter throughout the whole thing, and I'm trying to decide if I'm going to make the entire t-shirt with the glitter, or if I will eventually just stop the glitter, you know, maybe just do it on the top until I split for sleeves, and then go into just the cotton by itself. I'm really leaning towards adding the gold throughout though. I've also kind of thought about kind of thinning it down and then maybe making it so that it kind of looks like falling stars, you know, as far as like how they just kind of come down here and there. I have thought about doing that as well, just to kind of add the gold without having it be, you know, throughout the entire sweater, because this, let me see here, this bobbin that I got comes with, this is 560 meters. That may actually be enough to do this whole t-shirt. So we'll kind of see. I absolutely love this so far though. The pattern's super easy. The one thing I will say is when I downloaded the pattern, I downloaded it and it came with two files. One is a DK weight and the second is a fingering weight version of the pattern. And when I sat down, cast on, got working on the pattern, I came back, well, what did I have to do? I think I was checking out one of the other patterns on my tablet, And so I had backed way out, and then I came back in and I realized it said fingering weight. So I have done the cast on and the division for what a fingering weight sweater would be. So I'm just kind of rolling with it. I feel like this sweater or this t-shirt is something that's very forgiving. So I'm just kind of going until I feel comfortable and then splitting, and I can kind of get the general idea as far as how the sleeves are supposed to work, and obviously working straight down on the t-shirt, that part's easy for me. It's just more or less the numbers for the raglan, and I did want this t-shirt to be a little bit more oversized and comfortable, so right now I'm perfectly happy with the numbers that I've gotten. So that's just something that I decided, because of my tearing up the Korshavn and because of my problems with the Auguste cardigan, I decided I was not going to fuss with it and I was just going to let it be. And if it's way too big, by the time I go to split for sleeves, by that point I'll be able to really try it on and see how it lays. And if it's way too big, then I'll address it. But cotton tends to kind of shrink a little bit anyway, so especially over time. So I was like, it's fine. I'm not going to worry about it. So that's all I have in progress right now. I have a few different things that I'm kind of working on as far as my plans and kind of getting that list together. We have now stepped into April. This is the second quarter, which is kind of how I was trying to separate the year and work on a couple different pieces for each quarter. Now, initially my goals were to do, I believe it was like one sweater or cardigan, a pair of socks, and then one accessory throughout that entire quarter. So that way I wasn't, you know, holding myself to too many constraints, but I was still working on a variety of projects. With that, I have been trying to figure out which patterns I really want to work on. And like I was saying earlier, I've been so busy with the sourdough and with work and trying to get stuff started for the garden, which I am 4 weeks from our last frost date, and I have not started any seeds in my greenhouse yet. I haven't had any time. So I decided I was going to kind of skip some of those cardigans and sweater patterns that initially I had wanted to work on for this quarter and jump straight into my summer items, which it's been warm enough here that I'm wearing a t-shirt by about 10 o'clock in the morning. And when I go to work, I don't even wear my sweater to work at this point. So I'm definitely ready for the warm weather clothes, and decided that's what I'm going to focus on. I don't have any knit summer pieces at this point. The last few years I've been way too busy in the summertime and have not knit at all, so that is one of my top goals, is to start accumulating some of these pieces. The first one that I am really wanting to knit is the Rockhound Vest. That's by Wool and Pine. I've talked about this vest multiple times, and this is something that I am incredibly excited about. I already have the yarn here. I have the pattern already, and I have a friend that wants to knit this with me. So I have a feeling that as soon as she sees this video, she's gonna message me with the thumbs up, and we'll probably get started on that right away. It is a pattern that when I looked at it briefly, I was a bit overwhelmed, but I think the fact that I'm going to be knitting this with a friend who has knit multiple patterns by Wool and Pine, she's also very comfortable with knitting lace and some of those other cables and things like that. So I think if there's any issues that I might have along the way, she's definitely going to be able to help me with that. So if that's something that you're interested in joining us, definitely leave a message down below. I would love to see your progress, and you can also tag me on Instagram and I will leave all of my information down in the description bar as well. Then the next shirt that I wanted to make is the Navelli, and this is a t-shirt that has caught my eye for the last couple years, and I finally decided that I'm going to just make the darn thing. I have kind of looked at some of the different samples, and I keep coming back to the designer sample. I really love the kind of golden brown color with the black outline and the tan design at the bottom. I think this is just a stunning combination, and definitely the route that I am going to be going when I make mine. I was actually earlier today kind of putting some of those items in my cart, trying to decide exactly which yarn I wanted to go with. So I think that's definitely something that I'm going to be purchasing in the very near future. And this is a pattern, I don't know if I already said, that it's by Caitlin Hunter. And you may not have heard of the Navelli, but I'm sure you've seen the halibut sweater. And she is actually the designer of that as well, which is another sweater that I would absolutely love to make. I just love the way that the motif fits across that pattern or that sweater, and I really want to make that as well. So maybe this winter that'll be on my project list. The next kind of summer top that I want to make is the notched hem tank, and this is a free pattern by Pearl Soho, and it is again something that I've kind of had my eye on. I saved multiple tank tops at the beginning of the year, and some of them I really love all the time when I'm flipping through. Some of them I find little faults here and there that I'm like, oh, but I don't know if I would like that. Oh, you know, this one has, I don't know, whatever feature as far as the collar or something that I'm not quite feeling at that exact moment. However, this one I keep coming back to. I love just kind of the oversized drapey fit of it, and that is something that I'm really excited to try to knit. So I'm going to probably also be purchasing yarn for that here very soon and getting to work on that. I have a feeling that making a tank top like that is going to feel so quick in comparison to some of these sweaters that I've been making throughout the winter, and I'm going to feel like I'm getting away with, you know, all sorts of spare time, because I'm not going to have to do any sleeves or any, you know, extensive collars on some of these sweaters. So I'm kind of excited about doing something like that. And I love the side detail on this notched hem tank. I think it just looks really interesting. It's super stunning, and I could really see it being really comfortable wearing with just a pair of linen pants while I'm out in the garden, or even here at the house, you know, in some of those hot summer days. I think that would be a really nice item to be able to have in my wardrobe. The last thing that I know I want to get working on in the next couple months is going to be another Christmas gift, and this is going to be the Jasmine Scarf, again by Pearl Soho, but this is going to be something that, like I said, it's going to be a Christmas gift, and so I'm wanting to get it done a little bit early. I am kind of on the hunt for just the right yarn right now, so if I don't find exactly that, it may end up getting pushed back, but I'm trying to find something that, because it's a gift, I want to find a yarn that's going to be easy for, you know, taking care of the scarf if it needs to be washed or anything like that. So that's also kind of on my radar right now. The second Winnie Dragon I'm going to be probably casting on in the next couple days, or if not today. And then I have also, I think I mentioned this in my last video, I've also decided that I'm going to make the mini bunny, and this is a pattern by Olga Zrumova, and that pattern I think is so stinking adorable. I keep meaning to check the pattern though to determine which yarn I need to use for it. I'm really hoping that I can use this baby sand that I was going to use for the second dragon, but I haven't paid attention to the pattern, and so I may end up having to order yarn for that before I can get started, but we'll see. I think that was everything. Yeah, I'm probably at some point gonna kind of play with that Auguste Cardigan pattern, trying to figure it out, trying to make it work. I have reached out to the designer. I haven't heard back. I think I might reach out to one of the test knitters to see if she might be willing to help me with that. I'm just really disappointed. I thought it would be a really beautiful thing to knit, and just kind of a repeating twist on the cardigan might be nice, but I think I'm gonna have to go with a pattern that was designed by a larger designer that has maybe the opportunity to have more test knitters or more visibility, so that the pattern can really be flushed out of any kind of mistakes or, you know, just clarifications that need to be made. So I'm not sure. I don't want to say, you know, anything bad about the designer, but I was just really disheartened by not being able to just roll with it and figure it out. So we'll see. But other than that, I have had no acquisitions this week. Like I said, I'm going to be probably ordering yarn by the end of the day. So may have that to show you next week. It might not be here for a couple weeks. And I may end up kind of sharing with you some behind the scenes type of things in the next couple Wednesday videos. I really need to go through my closet and try to go through and kind of not necessarily purge, but just kind of, you know, do the transition from winter wardrobe to summer wardrobe. So I may bring you along for that. I was just watching a video of someone that I've watched for quite a long time now, and she was sharing her transition, and it got me itching to do my closet as well. So that might be something I'm going to be working on soon. And then if I can find the time to start seeds out in my garden, I'll definitely try to share that with you as well. Just kind of some more garden type videos with you here as we're getting into spring and summer. But I hope that you have a wonderful day. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe if you've stuck around for the entire video. I have quite a lot of videos out now, so definitely check those out. And I hope you have a fantastic day, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!